I plan to do a series on mindfulness. I've been wanting to do this for months, but it's been a major debate and a struggle for me. If you've seen other videos in my channel, you know that it's basically about the science of prevention. It gets fairly geeky. I look at where there's scientific evidence and where there isn't. Well, this topic, mindfulness, is sort of the anti-science. It's quit trying to solve a problem, quit trying to figure out where the evidence is, quit trying to, again, focus on the science. Focus differently, focus on experience. There are two books that are my all-time favorites in this area. Untethered Soul by Michael Singer and The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I believe Untethered Soul came out in about 2007. I saw it in a bookstore. It intrigued me, and I bought it. I read a little bit of it, maybe a few minutes of it, and it was beyond subtle for my Western mind. It was just slippery. I put the book, my mind started going into other areas, problem solving, somewhere else, put the book down, stayed on the bookshelf till about 2015. What? 6, 7, 8 years later. By that time, I picked it up then and loved it. By that time, I had already been introduced to The Power of Now by a friend and coworker, Ernie Richardson. These books, again, struggle for me, and here's why. As you've seen from my videos and this channel, I focus on scientific evidence. Mindfulness is the antithesis of scientific evidence. There is plenty of evidence, scientific evidence, that supports the positive health impact of mindfulness. Plenty of science that supports the fact that stress increases cortisol and therefore blood sugar, and therefore many negative impacts of health like heart attack, stroke, again diabetes, which is driving it, heart attack and stroke, dementia, the major killers and disablers in mankind. So they're actually even associated with trauma, but I won't go into that right now. I'll just say that, again, you can see why the debate. In order to deal with prevention of disease, we have to get out of a mindset of that Western mindset of problem solving and get into a little bit different mindset. So just a brief comparison of these two books. I think it's worthwhile for those of us who are looking at this and examining this concept from a Western perspective. Untethered Souls, written by Michael Singer. The Power of Now, written by Eckhart Tolle. The theme behind both of these books, again, is Westernization of Buddhist mindfulness. Both of them studied Buddhism. Both of them, again, are rewriting Buddhist thought processes for the Western mind. Both of them were introduced to the popular media by the same person, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah introduced Michael Singer in 2012 and Eckhart Tolle in 2007. Now here's an interesting comparison of these, the life of these two individuals. Michael Singer started off as an ABD, all but dissertation, doctoral student in economics. I don't remember if he finally completed that dissertation or not. He did go on and write a couple of books on metaphysics, and then this book. He decided to build a house, had trouble finding folks to build it, contractor, so he became his own contractor and actually started a sizable construction firm. Sold that when another business he started got too big for him to manage both. That was a medical software business. He started that when he got interested in some of the first, the original computers that were available. He started programming as a hobby, ended up doing some medical software billing company, and that ended up becoming a billion-dollar company. Eckhart Tolle, on the other hand, was not quite so successful in his non-author, non-philosophical activities. He started off well. He was awarded a scholarship to Cambridge University, but dropped out. Then he went on to live on park benches for a couple of years until he wrote The Power of Now, and again, the rest, as they say, is history. Now, introductory concepts. Singer starts off with a concept that a lot of yogis have used in terms of teaching mindfulness, and that is, who am I? If I were to ask that question of myself, I could start off by saying, well, I'm a 60-year-old male. Start mentioning my mentioning my demographics, my relationships, etc. But the bottom line is, I wasn't always 60. When I was 10 years old, I was still me. I didn't always have the same relationships that I have now, the same job, role, position in life. So none of those things are really me. So as you begin to head down this reductionistic path in terms of trying to describe yourself, you begin to see that I'm not so much the externals, I'm more of a watcher. You start getting into a concept of watcher versus thinker or problem solver. Both of these groups end up getting there because, again, they're both based on the same cultural thought philosophy developed by Buddhism. The initial information from Power of Now is time is the enemy. That's why now is so powerful. What Tolle is talking about with now is that problem solving is the go-to position of the Western mind. You find a problem, you start working on it. So that takes you into the past and into the future, both of which are actually constructs of our mind. The past is starting to look at, okay, what caused this problem? What were what was the aftermath? What was the pain associated with losing my loved one? Or looking forward to the future, how can I change this? How can I get a better job? How can I fall in love with the right person? In other words, focusing on the future or the past. Whereas if you focus on what's going on right now, it's you have to pull away those problem-solving components of the Western mind and get much more into a presence or mindfulness. Now, even the movie industry recognizes Buddhism and Buddhist culture as a major mindfulness component. It's hard to see, and again, pardon the graphics here. I actually got a new graphics capacity. I worked with a new software called Wistia until I figured out Wistia and YouTube are not that compatible. So, in fact, Wistia has written itself so it's not compatible with YouTube. So I'm still back to printouts, paper, shaking paper, waving it in front of the video. And again, thank you for your patience with me as I do that. You may not recognize this image. It's Brad Pitt. And it comes from the movie 7 Years in Tibet. So back to the point that even the American movie industry understands mindfulness and its link to Buddhism. So here's one of the quotes here. We have a saying in Tibet: if a problem can be solved, then there is no need to worry, or no use worrying about it. If the problem can be solved, worrying will do no good. So very, very typical, maybe archetypical focus on mindfulness. So, are there marriages in scientific and Western thought and Eastern thought? Well, actually, there are. If you look up Palouse Mindfulness, this is a copy of their website, and they are actually supposed to be part of the closest yet to a marriage between Western and Eastern thought. You could say, I would say, sort of. Here, basically, they do adopt Eastern mindfulness techniques, but here's what they do. They apply Western scientific method to those Eastern techniques. I hope to get to some videos which show the hard science supporting Eastern techniques, but I'm going to leave that for later. I'll start off with just a couple of book reviews. And again, I'll warn you that they're not quite so scientific. Janice Derrickson, Dr. Derrickson with PrevMed is certified in Palouse techniques. Thank you again for your interest and attention.